There comes a moment in every serious individual's life when the mirror no longer reflects flesh and bone but character, not just what you appear to be, but what you've truly become. And if you're honest with yourself, painfully honest, you'll see something most men flee from. You will see that every dollar you failed to earn, every goal you failed to reach, and every dream that withered inside you did not die because of the world, but because of a mind unmastered. The greatest battle is not with the market, nor the government, nor the economy. The greatest battle is the quiet war within your own mind. And the richest man is not the one who has conquered business, but the one who has conquered self. If you would change your wealth, change your frequency. If you would shift your frequency, shift your habits. But understand this, all habits begin in thought, and all thoughts are either chains or wings. The man who wishes to ascend the ladder of wealth must first descend into the core of his being and master what lies beneath: emotional impulse, mental clutter, the craving for validation, the hunger for approval. These are the silent assassins of power. But there is a way out, a path walked only by the few who dare to govern themselves before they attempt to govern the world. And that path begins with one realization: you are not your emotions. You are not your past. You are not your fears. You are not your failures. You are what you command yourself to become and nothing more. Let us now uncover the 5 sacred habits not taught in schools, not whispered in boardrooms, but encoded in the very structure of success itself, the 5 habits that, if practiced with precision, can elevate your entire money frequency and place you in command of a life few dare even to imagine. Habit 1. Silence the noise, command the mind. The first habit is not action, it is detachment. It is the ability to withdraw your emotional attention from the trivial, from the temporary, from the turbulence of daily life, and center it upon thought that builds. Every fortune begins in the mind, but most minds are bankrupt, filled with distractions, opinions, social expectations, and invisible agreements. What you think about, you attract. But what if your thoughts are not even your own? The man who masters money is first the man who masters silence, the silence within, the stillness of calm attention. For in that stillness, truth emerges. Do not be reactive. Reaction is slavery. The market crashes and the weak panic. A business partner disappoints you, and the undisciplined retaliate. But the man of mastery is neutral not because he does not feel, but because he does not fall. If you react, you are controlled. If you respond, you are in command. Discipline your thoughts. Command your attention. When you sit alone in your room and close your eyes, can you go 5 minutes without grabbing your phone, worrying about what others think, or replaying past conversations? If not, you are not free. True wealth begins where inner chaos ends. Train yourself every morning to sit still and breathe. No phone, no noise, just command. You tell your mind where to go. You give it its orders. And in doing so, you awaken a faculty that 98% of men never touch, the executive power of consciousness. He who governs his focus governs his frequency. And he who governs his frequency governs his finances. Habit 2. Live by law, not by mood. The second habit is to anchor your life not in your moods, but in mental laws. Mood is fleeting. Law is eternal. Weak men are mood-driven. One setback and their vision evaporates. One insult and their energy collapses. One external inconvenience and their entire day is shattered. But the man of wealth is not ruled by the temperature of the moment. He is ruled by inner law. Definiteness of purpose is the starting point of all achievement. This is not mere rhetoric, it is law. A law that only functions when enforced internally. You must decide today, will you be governed by emotional weather or by inner constitution? Will you be a creature of instinct or an architect of intention? Definiteness of purpose means you no longer ask what feels good. You ask what aligns with the mission. It means your alarm rings at 5 a.m., and whether or not you feel like rising is irrelevant because the law of growth has already been written in your mind. You must begin to write your own laws and obey them as if they came from God Himself. A law such as, I will not speak negatively about my finances. Why? Because word is frequency, and frequency is force. A man who curses his current condition cannot escape it. You will rise only to the level of language you habitually use. Another law, I will not react emotionally to delay. Why? Because delay is not denial, it is often divine refinement. The emotionally undisciplined waste energy on things they cannot control, but the wealthy convert waiting into wisdom. When you live by law, you shift from victimhood to vision, and in vision you vibrate higher. In law, you attract faster. Habit 3. Speak to yourself as if you were already wealthy. Here is the third habit, and it is the most ignored, though it is the most transformative. Speak to yourself not according to your current bank account, but according to your future balance sheet. Auto-suggestion is not a parlor trick. It is not self-hypnosis. It is the science of mental frequency adjustment. You become what you repeatedly say to yourself, whether you believe it or not. The subconscious mind is not logical. It is mechanical. Feed it fear, and it creates blocks. Feed it command, and it obeys. When you say, I am overwhelmed, you invite more burden. When you say, I never have enough, you activate lack. But when you say, I am becoming wealthier every day, you create the emotional state required for action. And action aligned with emotion creates new results. Start today with a new ritual. Stand before your mirror, shoulders back, eyes steady, and say, I am the master of my mind and the architect of my wealth. Every cell in my body is aligned with abundance. Money comes to me not because I chase it, but because I've become magnetic to it. Say it not once. Say it until your entire nervous system believes it, until your posture changes, until your frequency rises, until your environment shifts. Repeat it again and again. Why? Because repetition is the rope that ties your thoughts to your results. Autosuggestion is the bridge between the invisible and the visible, and if you do not cross it daily, you remain stuck on the shore of potential. Habit 4. Eliminate the need for approval. The fourth habit will offend the weak and liberate the strong. If you need the approval of others, you have already sold your future. The desire to be liked is the fastest way to stay broke. Approval is a drug, and every addict suffers the same fate: dependency, instability, and slow decay of self. You must become dangerous to the opinions of others, not because you hate them, but because you've outgrown them. Let this be your internal oath. No one outside of me determines the value within me. The wealthy are not always liked, but they are always respected. And if you must choose between being loved by all or respected by a few, choose respect. Because love fades, respect remains. Detachment from approval is the highest form of self-possession. It means you do not shrink your vision to make others comfortable. It means you are willing to be misunderstood for a season in order to be unmatched in the future. It means you speak your truth, you move with force. You walk into rooms and do not ask, do they like me? But rather, do I still like myself after what I said, what I did, and what I stood for? When you shed the need for validation, you become immune to manipulation, and immunity is wealth. Habit 5. Take ruthless personal responsibility. The final habit, and perhaps the most powerful, is this: ruthless personal responsibility. No blame, no excuses, no waiting. The successful man assumes the entire burden of his life not because he enjoys the weight, but because he trusts his strength. Circumstances do not make the man. They reveal him, and what they reveal most often is weakness disguised as complaint. If your bank account is low, it's not because of capitalism, it's because your strategy is flawed. Fix it. If your habits are weak, it's not because of your childhood, it's because you haven't taken the time to rebuild your internal architecture. Rebuild it. The wealthy do not ask, why is this happening to me? They ask, what is this trying to teach me? Responsibility is not punishment, it is power. It is the doorway to complete sovereignty over your energy, your time, your thoughts, and your results. Write this on the tablet of your mind. If I created it, I can change it. If I accepted it, I can reject it. If I tolerated it, I can terminate it. Every man was born into the world with the seed of greatness within him, but that seed does not sprout in comfort. It grows only in the soil of discipline, under the sunlight of belief, and watered daily by personal responsibility. Now the question becomes, will you practice these habits when no one is watching? Will you master your thoughts in silence? Will you break the cycle of reaction? Will you take command of your inner frequency and become the magnet that draws fortune to its source? Remember this. If you want to shift your money frequency, you must shift your mind before you ever shift your wallet. If you want the external to obey, the internal must become king. And if you want unstoppable success, then begin now with one thing, the mastery of self. You must now become the watcher of your own mind. Observe your thoughts the way a king watches over a kingdom, not passively, but with vigilance. Watch what you say when no one is listening. Watch what you assume when opportunity knocks. Watch what you think when wealth appears just out of reach. For every thought either builds your throne or burns your empire. Emotional detachment is not coldness, it is clarity. It is the supreme ability to stand in the midst of chaos and remain unmoved by it, to be surrounded by noise but not drawn into it. The masses are puppets to every emotional wind that blows, but the master is grounded in the unshakable calm of purpose. Every wealthy man I have ever known, every builder of empires, every thinker of great ideas, every conqueror of markets possessed this trait. They were unbothered. Not passive, not lazy, but detached. Detached from insult, detached from rejection, detached from flattery, detached from panic, for they understood the first law of inner wealth. If your emotions control your decision, someone else controls your destiny. If you still need the world to be perfect before you can feel peace, then you have not yet trained the mind to serve the mission. And if the mind does not serve the mission, it becomes the master of mediocrity. So train it, starve it of drama, feed it only vision. Let your mind become your servant, and your destiny will become your subject. Now let us go deeper to the invisible chamber of your own belief system. For all outer wealth is merely the echo of inner belief. You cannot act beyond the level of belief you hold. And belief, my friend, is not inherited, it is installed. Beliefs are nothing but repeated thoughts, planted with emotion, watered with attention, and protected by repetition. You may have been told you are not good with money, or that success is for others, or that rich people are corrupt. And if these phrases were spoken in a moment of emotional charge, your subconscious recorded them like sacred scripture. But let me tell you the truth. Your financial thermostat is set by your self-concept, and your self-concept is programmable. The man who thinks in poverty cannot behave in prosperity, and the man who behaves in scarcity cannot act in abundance. If you would rise in life, first raise the image you hold of yourself, not in arrogance, but in absolute certainty that you are not a victim of your past, you are the product of your present decisions. Sit in silence, ask yourself, what beliefs am I still carrying that belong to the weak, to the frightened, to the broken? Then burn them. Yes, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, burn them at the altar of your rebirth. Replace them with the mental codes of kings. I am worthy of wealth because I am disciplined. I do not chase money. I attract it by becoming valuable. Every moment is mine to command. Every dollar is mine to earn. What I focus on expands. What I release disappears. The subconscious cannot resist a man who believes completely in himself. And when you believe, you move differently, you speak differently. You walk into negotiations not as a beggar of opportunity, but as a bringer of power. You carry yourself like the prize because you've trained your mind to recognize your worth before the world ever did. Understand this well. The mind that is emotionally neutral is the mind that sees most clearly. The world will tempt you to take sides emotionally, to be offended, to be outraged, to be afraid. Why? Because when you are reactive, you are predictable. And when you are predictable, you are controllable. But the man who practices neutrality, not indifference, but non-attachment, becomes dangerous. For he can think while others tremble. He can decide while others hesitate. He can act while others are still complaining. Mental neutrality does not mean you feel nothing. It means you are not governed by what you feel. A man of mastery can hear criticism and not crumble. He can receive praise and not inflate. He can lose a deal and not panic. He can win a contract and not gloat. He understands both loss and gain are temporary, but self-command is eternal. Practice neutrality. When the storm comes, and it will remain internally still. When betrayal appears, and it will remain unshaken. When the door slams in your face, and it will remain calm, for there is always another. Calmness is the currency of clarity, and clarity is the mother of wise action. When you are clear, you are fast. When you are calm, you are sharp. When you are neutral, you are precise. And precision is what multiplies wealth. Nature functions in rhythm. The sun rises and falls in rhythm. The tides move in rhythm. The seasons turn in rhythm. And the mind, if trained, can be brought into rhythm, a rhythm of effectiveness, focus, calmness, and bold execution. This is the science of mental frequency. If your rhythm is scattered, your results are scattered. If your rhythm is reactive, your life is chaos. But if your rhythm is deliberate, powerful, intentional, unshaken, then your actions carry weight and your results compound. Begin to schedule your emotions. Yes, you heard that right. Schedule your emotions. Don't feel based on the weather. Don't feel based on your inbox. Feel based on your standards. Morning, calm. Focused, grateful. Afternoon, decisive, alert, direct. Evening, reflective, intentional, still. You will discover that your emotional state is not a reflection of your life, it is a reflection of your rhythm. And when you master rhythm, you master flow, that sacred state where you do in hours what others do in weeks. The wealthiest people on earth are not always smarter, but they are more rhythmic. They enter the zone on command. And that zone, my friend, is frequency. You want more money? Don't work harder, work in rhythm. Align your inner state with peak hours. Master your morning before you touch your phone. Journal before you judge. Plan before you produce. If you can discipline your rhythm, you can dominate any market. Detach from impulse as a sovereign detaches from rumor. The crowd hears a whisper and erupts. The master hears a scream and remains still. In that stillness lies the power to choose your response. Between stimulus and response, there is a kingdom, and that kingdom is yours. If you reach for the phone before you reach for your breath, you have forfeited the throne. If you react before you reflect, you have handed your mind to chance and your future to circumstance. But when you pause, you possess. When you breathe, you buy back the seconds in which destiny is written. If you would control your money, begin by controlling your micro moments. Count 4 in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold, a simple square that builds an empire of calm. Because if you cannot command 4 seconds, you will not command fortunes. The enemy is not urgency. The enemy is ungoverned urgency. Most men wait until their nervous system is screaming before they act, then they call that motivation. The successful invert this equation. They act while calm and thus remain calm while acting. If you delay control until emotion is high, you will lose. If you establish control while emotion is low, you will not be moved when emotion rises. This is why the wealth builder makes decisions in the morning, when the mind is clear, and executes in the afternoon, when the world is noisy. Thought first, action second, emotion last. Reverse this sequence, and you enslave yourself. Follow this sequence, and you liberate your life. Understand the law. If you can delay gratification, you can accelerate results. The man who cannot wait for a seed to become a tree will never sit in the shade of his own creation. Money flows toward patience dressed as precision. Seduction by immediacy is the poverty of the undisciplined. The world advertises mirages to the thirsty, quick profit, fast fame, effortless victory. But water that appears instantly often evaporates just as quickly. Real wealth is condensed time. It accumulates around those who restrain themselves long enough to compound action upon action, decision upon decision, day upon day. When your nervous system craves the rush of now, feed it the feast of next. When your mind begs for relief, give it a plan. You must install the principle of thought first. Write it into your inner constitution as law. I do not act until I have thought. I do not speak until I have chosen. I do not spend until I have decided what this dollar must do for me. Thought is the architect. Emotion is the weather. If you build according to weather, your house will crack and warp with every season. Build according to blueprint, and storms become tests you have already passed on paper. The mind that sketches the cathedral before laying the first stone is the mind that completes it. The mind that throws bricks at random calls the resulting pile bad luck. Accurate thinking is the chisel that fashions your future. Distinguish between facts, opinions, and inferences, or pay the price of confusion. Facts are what is. Opinions are what someone says about what is. Inferences are conclusions you draw about what is. The poor thinker mixes them, then wonders why his life tastes like a bitter stew. The wealthy separate them with surgical precision. Ask of every assertion you encounter on screens, in meetings, in your own self-talk, is this verified reality, someone's projection, or my own untested conclusion? If you act on projections, you fund someone else's delusion. If you act on untested conclusions, you finance your own. But if you act on verified reality aligned with definiteness of purpose, you become formidable. Practice the triage of truth. When information enters, sort it into 3 ledgers. Ledger 1, evidence I have personally validated. Ledger 2, claims that require verification. Ledger 3, noise that does not serve the mission. Build your day on Ledger 1, schedule time to examine Ledger 2, and starve Ledger 3. The mind cannot create wealth while it is digesting garbage. If you allow random content to colonize your attention, do not be surprised when your results are random. If you want predictable outcomes, protect your inputs. You may ask, where do my emotions fit? Emotions are instruments. Use them, do not worship them. Fear warns, it does not command. Excitement energizes, it does not decide. Anger signals a boundary, it does not write policy. Gratitude fuels endurance, it does not replace execution. If you allow emotions to govern your actions, you forfeit your power. But if you command your thoughts, you command your future. The man who learns to feel deeply yet act deliberately is rare. Rarity is valuable. Value creates wealth. You must become a craftsman of inner law. Write laws that shape your conduct regardless of your mood. I begin the day before the world begins with me. I speak only what strengthens the mission. I finalize decisions in stillness, not in storms. I prioritize by purpose, not by pressure. Enforce these statutes with the discipline of a judge who cannot be bribed by excuses. The first time you break your own law, you weaken your state. The first time you keep your own law under stress, you weld steel into your character. Repeat this welding long enough and you become unbreakable. Let us consider autosuggestion with the seriousness it deserves. It is not magic, it is machinery. You are programming a device more powerful than any computer, your subconscious. It takes orders from the language you repeat with feeling. If your daily dialogue is saturated with scarcity, your nervous system will behave like a hunted animal, and hunted animals do not build empires. Install a new operating language, short, direct, commanding. Morning code, calm is my baseline, purpose is my compass, execution is my art. Work code, I move with precision, I respect my time, I create undeniable value. Evening code, I review without judgment, I harvest lessons, I sleep in gratitude. Attach each code to a specific action. Stand tall, breathe slow, place a hand on the chest to anchor the words in sensation. The subconscious listens to what the body believes. If your posture contradicts your proclamation, your nervous system will side with the slouch, straighten the spine, and the sentence gains voltage. Speak it daily, and the words gain gravity. Speak it when tired, and the words gain teeth. You must also take dominion over association. The mind expands or contracts to fit the company it keeps. If you habitually dine with complainers, your vision will adopt their palate. If you spend your evenings with cynics, your belief will run a fever and call it realism. There is a difference between realism and resignation. Realism respects the facts and demands a strategy. Resignation surrenders to the facts and calls it wisdom. Do not confuse the two. Sit at tables where ambition is the baseline and excellence is the admission price. Engage with those who measure days by progress, not distraction, who treat time as sacred and language as precise. If you cannot find such a table, build one. Your environment is your silent coach. Clean desks produce clear decisions. Cluttered spaces whisper invitations to drift. A man who walks through chaos before he sits to work must fight 2 battles, the battle against the world and the battle against his own disorder. Win the second, and the first becomes easier. Eliminate what pulls the eye from the task. Remove what steals seconds from the schedule. Create a room that vibrates with intention. Every object either signals your standard or undermines it. If it does not strengthen your purpose, it weakens it. If it does not earn its place, it must go. As you refine the inner world, translate it into financial conduct. Money is feedback. It is the marketplace's receipt for value delivered. If your money is inconsistent, your value delivery is inconsistent, or your offer is undefined, or your audience is unclear, or your frequency is unstable, the solution is not lamentation. The solution is calibration. Identify your singular value proposition. One problem, one person, one promise. Craft an offer that solves the problem so precisely that price becomes a function of relief, not argument. Then build a rhythm of delivery that the market learns to trust. Trust is currency. Where trust accumulates, money follows. Practice the discipline of one. One market, one message, one model until the foundation holds. Diversification is the luxury of the well-established. Concentration is the necessity of the rising. If you split your force too early, you win nowhere. If you focus your force long enough, you take ground. Wealth is not a lottery, it is a land grab of attention, trust, and execution. To take land, you do not wander. You advance in formation. You will be tempted by speed. Resist the fever. Pursue compounding. Compounding does not only apply to money, it applies to reputation, skill, network, and self-command. A single hour of deep, undistracted focus compounded over years builds a cathedral of competence. A single promise kept to yourself daily compounds into unbreakable self-trust. A single courageous conversation each week compounds into a network that opens doors others cannot even see. The impatient sprint, the unstoppable compound. Let us install a 30-day sovereignty protocol to translate philosophy into force. Day 17. Silence and law. Each dawn, sit in stillness for 10 minutes before any device. Recite your 3 inner laws. Write your single mission for the day on a card. Carry it with you. Complete it before anything optional. Day 8-14. Accurate thinking. Start a truth ledger. For every claim you hear or think, tag it F, fact, C, claim, or I, inference. Act only on F aligned with purpose. Schedule review time for C, discard I unless tested. Day 15-21. Auto-suggestion embodiment. Morning code, work code, evening code with posture and breath. Record yourself speaking them. Listen on your commute or walk. Do not skip. Repetition forges identity. Day 22-30. Detachment drills. Choose one common trigger, email influx, market volatility, criticism, and train the pause. 3 calm breaths before response. Rewrite your reply 3 times. Reactive, neutral, strategic. Send only the strategic. Follow this protocol, and you will feel it a steadiness under the skin, a density to your presence. People will notice first in how you listen, then in how you decide, then in how you execute. Weight gathers around those who do what they say daily. Turn now to language, the lever of frequency. What you say about time, money, and self sculpts your trajectory. Replace, I'm too busy with, I have not prioritized it. Responsibility re-enters the room. Replace, I can't afford it, with, I haven't created the value for it yet. Agency returns to the throne. Replace, this always happens to me, with, I am encountering a pattern and I am breaking it now. Power changes hands. Words are not sounds, they are selections. Each sentence is a choice of state. Choose like a king, not like a captive. If you downgrade your language, you downshift your life. If you upgrade your language, you upshift your results. Speak as the architect of your future, not as the archivist of your past. Develop calm aggression, a paradox the mediocre cannot hold. Calm in demeanor, aggressive in execution. The average man is the opposite. Noisy in demeanor, hesitant in execution. He announces plans and avoids pain. You, say nothing and do much. Let completion be your communication. Let consistency be your charisma. There is a charisma that comes from noise. It fades. There is a charisma that comes from inevitability. It grows. Bring this calm aggression into negotiation. He who needs least, leads most. Detachment is not disinterest. It is internal sufficiency. You are willing to walk because your mission is not married to any single deal. Abundance is not the size of your bank account. Abundance is the absence of desperation. Walk into rooms with internal wealth, and external wealth will follow you out. Guard your energy economy. You have a finite number of high-quality decisions each day. Spend them on creation, not on quarrel. Spend them on building, not on browsing. The man who wakes to argue has already chosen poverty of mind. The man who wakes to create has already chosen wealth. If you allow trivialities to loot your attention in the morning, expect bandits to raid your afternoon. The wealth builder allocates first hours to his highest leverage design, strategy, outreach, offer, refinement. The world may knock. Let it wait until the work that secures your future is complete. You will face failure. This is not an obstacle. It is an instrument. Failure is feedback. If you personalize it, you paralyze. If you analyze it, you optimize. Post-mortem your losses with a cool mind. Where did emotion override plan? Where did assumption replace evidence? Where did I exit my laws? Correct the system. Forgive yourself. Advance. The man who refuses to feel shame for honest failure moves faster than the man who fears the bruise more than he loves the prize. Shame anchors potential. Curiosity sets it sailing. Speak now to your identity, for it is the governor on your speed. You will never sustainably outperform the image you hold of yourself. To raise your ceiling, raise your self-concept with embodied practice. Dress your nervous system in excellence. How you stand, how you walk, how you breathe, not for vanity, for voltage. A disordered body confuses the mind. An aligned body instructs the mind. When posture, breath, and gaze converge, your brain receives a single message. We are safe, we are strong, we are ready. From that state, complex tasks feel simple, and hard choices feel necessary. Install weekly councils with yourself. A leader meets with his generals. Meet with your principals. In a quiet room, review your laws, your ledger, your progress. Adjust targets by data, not by mood. Praise what you kept, correct what you broke, recommit without theatrics. Rituals are not superstition. Rituals are scaffolding. In a weak culture, ritual is mocked. In a strong life, ritual is the backbone. The future belongs to those who make their standards non-negotiable. Now, the marketplace. You do not beg from it. You bargain with it by bringing value so obvious that price becomes a simple calculus. The formula for money is not mystery. Value times trust times visibility times repetition. Increase any factor and you lift your income. Compound them and you transform. Value without visibility is obscurity. Visibility without value is noise. Trust without repetition is a one-time tip. Repetition without trust is spam. Master the variables. Build an offer that saves time, solves pain, or creates opportunity. Prove it, show it, repeat it. Calmly, relentlessly, with standards higher than your competition's imagination. Beware approval economics doing what looks successful instead of what makes you successful. There is a pose that photographs well and a practice that profits well. The crowd knows the pose. The master knows the practice. You do not feed your family with admiration. You feed them with results. Do not measure your progress by applause. Measure it by compounding assets, compounding skills, compounding relationships, and compounding self-trust. Likes are a sugar high. Assets are calories. Choose meals over candy. Return to the 5 habits and deepen their grip. Silence the noise, become strategic isolation. Daily windows where you and your work meet without interruption. Phone in another room. Browser closed. One target, 90 minutes. Done. Live by law becomes operational command. Written standards for how you start, decide, communicate, and close. Not intentions, instructions. Your day is a machine. Oil it with clarity. Speak as wealthy becomes identity broadcasting. Every email, call, and meeting echoes your calm, precise, value-first presence. You do not mirror chaos. You model certainty. Eliminate approval becomes frame control. You choose the terms of engagement. You do not audition for acceptance. You set the criteria for collaboration. Ruthless responsibility becomes rapid iteration. No sulking, only solving. You test, you learn, you adjust before others have composed their excuses. In this ascension, you will notice a quiet phenomenon. Peace grows. Peace is not the absence of challenge. Peace is the presence of command. People will call it luck. They did not see the mornings you won before sunrise. They will call it talent. They did not witness the countless micro-choices where you chose law over mood, plan over impulse, purpose over noise, let them name it what they will. You know what it is. Inner sovereignty crystallized into outer success. When criticism arrives, regard it with neutrality. Extract the kernel, discard the shell. When praise arrives, thank it and return to work. Praise is a warm breeze, nice for the skin, useless for the harvest. The harvest requires hands in the field, eyes on the sky, feet in the dirt, work not as a slave to guilt, but as a soldier of purpose. Purpose is not heavy when you carry it with both hands. Half-hearted effort exhausts. Full-hearted effort invigorates. There will be days when the path narrows. On those days, collapse your world to the next right action. One phone call, one proposal sent, one page written, one product improved, one client served impeccably. Small certainties compound into large certainties. The mind finds strength in completion. Complete something daily that matters, and soon your days become a symphony of substance. Remember this doctrine. He who learns to be unmoved becomes impossible to stop. Markets will swing, you will not. People will waver, you will not. Weather will change, your laws will hold. Calm is not a mood, it is a muscle. Detachment is not distance. It is distinction, the power to distinguish between what demands you and what merely distracts you. Wealth is a byproduct of a mind that makes this distinction instantly and acts accordingly. Before you sleep tonight, enumerate 3 victories of discipline and 1 lesson from failure. Praise yourself without theatrics, correct yourself without cruelty. This is how kings grow, with dignity towards self, with rigor towards standard. In the morning, rise before the world rises upon you. Touch silence. Read 1 page that sharpens thought. Write 1 paragraph that clarifies direction. Move your body to remind your mind that you are here to act, not to drift. Then enter the day like a blade, smooth, sharp, and guided. If the world asks, who gave you permission to move like this, answer with your work. If doubt asks who you think you are, answer with your laws. If fear asks what if you fail, answer with your protocol. If fatigue asks for tomorrow, answer with 5 more minutes now. 5 minutes kept become 50 victories, kept become 5 fortunes, kept keep. The law. Money is not your master. It is your messenger. It delivers to you the verdict of the market upon your value. If you do not like the message, do not attack the messenger. Increase the value. Increase the frequency of delivery. Increase the clarity of communication. Increase the trust encoded in every interaction. This is not mystical. It is mechanical. The mysticism is in your composure under pressure. The miracle is in your refusal to negotiate with your standards. You have a choice to make every hour. React or respond, drift or direct, hope or design, complain or command. Choose command so consistently that hope begins to follow you around like a loyal hound. Choose design so insistently that luck begins to recognize your address. Choose direction so repeatedly that drift forgets your name. You asked for mastery of emotional detachment, mental discipline, and inner control to achieve unstoppable success. Do not wait for the feeling of mastery to begin behaving like a master. Behave as the master, and mastery will report for duty. Identity precedes evidence in the mind. Evidence follows identity in the world. Decide who you are, obey the laws that version of you would write, and the world will eventually align. Not instantly, inevitably. Carry these sentences into your marrow. Calm is my baseline. Law is my guide. Thought is my engine. Discipline is my edge. Responsibility is my crown. With these, you will walk into rooms differently. You will sit in meetings differently. You will design products, shape offers, lead people differently. The world will feel your frequency shift before you fully understand its amplitude. Do not rush to name it, live it. And as you live it, return often to the simple equation that has no rival. If you control your mind, you control your minutes. If you control your minutes, you control your methods. If you control your methods, you control your money. If you control your money, you control your mission. Control begins inside and ripples outward. Start at the center, and the circumference will expand. Now do the next right thing with the demeanor of one who cannot be moved. Then the next, then the next. The days will assemble themselves into a monument. People will call it success. You will know it as self-mastery made visible. Keep going. The law holds, the mind obeys, the world yields. Your frequency rises as steadily as the sun, and like the sun, you do not argue with darkness. You arrive, and it disappears. Let us speak first of accurate thinking, the forgotten crown jewel of achievement. Most men believe they think. They do not. They react. They remember. They replay old mental programs disguised as thought. They confuse information with intelligence and emotion with insight. But the man who develops accurate thinking sees reality as it is, not as he wishes it to be, not as others fear it to be, but as it truly is. Accurate thinking is the discipline of truth over preference. It means you measure results, not intentions. It means you observe your habits, not your self-image. It means you test beliefs, not because you are skeptical, but because you are sovereign. A man who cannot separate fact from opinion is a man permanently trapped in illusion. He cannot build, for he does not see the ground beneath his feet. If you would grow your wealth, you must become ruthless with the truth. What are the facts of your current income? What are the facts of your daily behavior? What are the facts of your value in the marketplace? Not what you hope, not what you intend, not what others tell you, but what is. And then, only then, do you apply the second dimension of accurate thinking, creative causation. You ask, given these facts, what is the precise cause, and what is within my command to alter? Because until you see clearly, you cannot command effectively. The battlefield of success is filled with men who charged forward on opinion and were slain by reality. But the strategist wins not because he is more passionate, but because he sees the board with crystal clarity. Train yourself in accurate thinking. Study logic. Discern patterns. Audit your own thoughts. Ask yourself daily, is this belief rooted in evidence or emotion? Is this assumption producing wealth or draining it? Does this thought serve my future or sabotage it? The man who commands accurate thought becomes immune to deception, both from others and, more importantly, from himself. Next, we examine the law of environment. For wealth is not only personal, it is environmental. The frequency of your surroundings dictates the ceiling of your growth. No man climbs a mountain surrounded by those content with crawling. If your environment is saturated with doubt, noise, chaos, and distraction, your mind absorbs it by osmosis. Even the strongest swimmer tires when the current fights him daily. You must therefore construct an environment that reflects your destiny, not your history. This is not metaphor, this is practical necessity. Remove every object from your workspace that anchors you to mediocrity. Eliminate every digital distraction that fractures your attention. Clean the desk, silence the room, burn the bridge to weakness. You cannot hold a frequency of wealth while bathing in environments of poverty, not just material poverty, but spiritual, mental, and energetic poverty. Your very room should echo your intention. Your schedule should mirror your mission. Your conversations should rise to the level of your vision. Environment is the silent sculptor of identity. You think you are your own man? Look again. You are, in part, the sum total of every stimulus you allow in your space. Cleanse it, curate it, command it, and your mind will follow with clarity, with calm, and with creative force. And now, perhaps the most brutal law of all, the law of association. The fastest way to change your life is to change who has access to your mind. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. You do not owe emotional loyalty to those who poison your mental frequency. If your peers complain, you will become their echo. If your friends fear risk, you will fear success. If your family believes in limitation, you will unconsciously adopt their ceiling. You rise or fall by proximity. That is not opinion, that is law. Tell me the 5 minds you engage with most, and I will tell you your financial future. You must become violently selective with your associations, not out of arrogance, but out of reverence for your vision. If they speak of others, not ideas, distance yourself. If they seek comfort, not conquest, observe, but do not absorb. If they deny the possibility of radical transformation, thank them for their honesty, then leave them behind. Your association must be with those who speak in strategy, not complaint. Move in rhythm, not reaction. Honor time, energy, purpose, and protect their mind like a sacred temple. Build an inner circle that electrifies your spirit and corrects your sloppiness. A man becomes wealthy not merely through effort, but through proximity to higher standards. Let your standard rise so high that mediocrity chokes in your presence. Now we enter the rituals of wealth frequency. Success is not an event, it is a system. And that system is built from rituals, small, repeatable actions performed with absolute intentionality and executed without negotiation. You may think ritual belongs to religion. I tell you it belongs to every high performer who has broken free from the emotional instability of average men. For ritual is not superstition. Ritual is rhythm enforced by law. The man without ritual is at the mercy of emotion. The man of ritual commands emotion. Your rituals determine your readiness. Your readiness determines your results. And so I give you now a daily structure, not a schedule of tasks, but a constitution of frequency. The Morning Mental Summit. Each day begins with silence followed by declaration. You rise before the noise, before the opinions, before the world claws at your focus. You sit in stillness, and you speak power into your own nervous system. I command my thoughts. I direct my emotions. I magnetize wealth with clarity and calm. No fear, no noise, no doubt shall enter this temple of mine today. This is not optional. This is sacred. The golden hour of focus. For 1 hour each morning, you engage in your highest value work with total presence. Phone off, notifications silenced, no talking, no distractions. Only deliberate creation. Why? Because the first hour of your day writes the emotional script for the next 15. And when you win the morning, you walk into every room as the author, not the actor. The internal inventory midday, you pause and reflect. You ask, what have I allowed into my mind today that weakens me? What thought have I repeated that no longer serves me? Am I living as the man I declared this morning? If the answer is no, you recalibrate instantly. You do not wait. You do not hope the feeling passes. You command a new direction. The ritual of containment. At least once per day, you practice deliberate detachment. This means turning away from screens, turning off the external stimulation, and sitting in sovereign stillness, even if only for 10 minutes. No input, no stimulation, only power. Because every frequency must rest, every mind must be reset, and every master must retreat to command. The evening audit. Before sleep, you declare completion. You review the day not with guilt, but with precision. Where did I rise? Where did I flinch? What will I do differently tomorrow? And then you release the day. Why? Because rest is strategy. Only the man who has closed the day with intention enters sleep with peace. And only the man who sleeps in peace wakes with purpose. These are the rituals of wealth frequency. If practiced daily without exception, they will reprogram the very rhythm of your nervous system and convert you from a passive reactor to a conscious architect. Now let us speak of the psychology of power speech. Words are not tools. Words are architecture. Every word you speak is a brick laid into the mansion of your reality. And most men build prisons with their tongue while praying for palaces. Listen carefully. Your frequency is encoded in your language. Change your speech, change your signal, change your signal, change your income. The wealthy speak differently, not just in vocabulary and structure, in certainty, in energetic authority. They do not say, I hope it works. They say, I will make it work. They do not say, I can't afford it. They say, I'm designing the strategy to afford it. They do not say, I'm so stressed. They say, I am training my mind under pressure. Why? Because your words command your subconscious. And your subconscious obeys like an unblinking servant. It does not question, it does not interpret, it executes. You must therefore speak with deliberate design not only to others, but more importantly, to yourself. Power speech is calm, not frantic. It is deliberate, not apologetic. It is affirmative, not dependent. Begin now to audit your own language. Catch every weak word as if it were poison because it is. Replace I think with I know. Replace I wish with I plan. Replace I'm trying with I'm executing. You do not try to become wealthy. You command it through action, thought, and alignment. Let your very voice carry the vibration of certainty. Let your tone become an instrument of manifestation. Let every sentence you speak be weighed, tested, and tuned to wealth. Finally, we speak of elite-level habits, not the habits of the motivated, but the habits of the sovereign. Motivation is for children. Habits are for kings. And the elite do not rely on emotion. They operate on automation. Their results are not occasional. They are inevitable. If you would become such a man, you must embody habits so aligned, so precise, so untouchable, that success becomes the default, not the miracle. What are these habits? Refusal to negotiate with weakness. The elite do not ask, do I feel like it? They act. Full stop. They silence the inner child. They serve the vision, not the voice of laziness. Compounding micro-disciplines. They read daily, even if only for 10 minutes. They track income daily, even if nothing has changed. They protect their sleep, their inputs, their thoughts with military consistency. Uncompromising time discipline. No idle scrolling, no wasted mornings, no chaotic evenings. Every minute is accounted for. Why? Because time is the only non-renewable currency, and he who controls it controls wealth. Extreme ownership of results. No excuses. No blaming the algorithm, the market, the weather, the world. They own it all, the wins, the losses, the in-betweens, and because they own everything, they can change anything. Relentless pattern recognition. The elite spot patterns in their emotions, in their business, in their failures, and once spotted, they alter the pattern, not the goal. The sovereign walks through life like a chess master 10 moves ahead, unbothered by the noise, seeing all, reacting to nothing. Let us now open the final gate, the law of inner wealth. What is inner wealth? It is not a mindset. It is not motivation. It is not even confidence. It is the deep, unshakable knowing that you are the source of your reality, not its servant. Inner wealth is the invisible fortress. It cannot be taxed. It cannot be stolen. It does not crash with markets or waver with rejection. It is authority forged into your nervous system. And what builds it? Emotional mastery, mental command, detachment from outcome, relentless personal standards, the ability to sit in the fire of growth without flinching. The rich in money often become poor in spirit because they never developed inner wealth first. They gained currency without consciousness, fame without fortitude, attention without alignment, and so they collapse quietly, subtly, behind the masks of excess. But the man who first constructs inner wealth walks through the world with a vibration that bends reality. He does not beg, he does not chase, he does not react. He simply moves and reality reorganizes around him. Wealth is not something you seek, it is something you summon by who you become. This is why I tell you, do not build a brand before you build your backbone. Do not chase strategy before you master state. Do not run into the marketplace with noise in your head and emotion in your heart. The world belongs to the calm. You want your money frequency to shift? Then stop doing like the wealthy and start being like the sovereign. Inner wealth is being, not proving. Let us now forge the blueprint of the unbreakable mind. This is not theory. This is steel. The unbreakable man walks by the following code. He chooses response over reaction. He does not move when the world screams. He watches. He evaluates. He strikes with precision, not panic. He lives by internal law. His standards are self-imposed. His discipline is self-generated. He does not require punishment or praise. He obeys only his vision. He views pain as tuition. He does not resent difficulty. He welcomes it, for difficulty reveals where the mind is still soft. Every struggle is an invitation to reinforce character. He celebrates solitude. The unbreakable mind is not afraid to be alone. In fact, he prefers it. For in solitude, the voice of the world dies, and the voice of power awakens. He guards thought as currency. He does not speak loosely. He does not consume without question. He does not allow emotional intruders into his castle. The gate of his mind is guarded by clarity, precision, and purpose. This is the man who cannot be moved. This is the man who becomes inevitable. This is the man who, whether he is rich or broke, praised or mocked, loved or abandoned, remains aligned. Because his identity is not based on applause, but on alignment. And now the summons to power. The time has come to choose. You have heard the truth, not motivational sugar, not spiritual fantasy, but truth forged from the fires of responsibility, inner mastery, and precise mental law. The path is not easy, but the reward is not ordinary. If you live by impulse, you will decay. If you live by public opinion, you will be forgotten. If you live by reaction, you will die having never truly lived. But if you live by vision, if you govern your thoughts as a monarch governs his kingdom, if you choose truth over comfort, law over emotion, and character over convenience, then no man, no economy, no rejection, no failure, no storm can rob you of what is already yours. Because you will not be chasing wealth. You will be wealth. And that is a frequency that changes everything. Now go. Burn your excuses. Rewrite your identity. Raise your standards. Enforce your rituals. Speak only power. Surround yourself with warriors. Act like the king you were born to become. You don't need another book. You don't need another course. You don't need anyone's permission. You need only one thing: the decision to never again betray the power inside you. The rest is inevitable.